A new champion has emerged with a fierce fighting spirit and iron fists. These are the victims of Alex Pereira, one of the most dangerous fighters in the game. Among them, Strickland stands out. Known more for his wild antics outside the cage than his wins, Strickland still faced the powerful hands of Pereira.
I mean, have I sucked on a few toes here and there? Yeah, but I mean, it's more of just like, why not try some shit?
Behind the bold talk and tough exterior, Strickland was a man battling inner demons, shaped by early trauma. Despite his mental struggles, he climbed the middleweight rankings, getting closer to a well-deserved title shot. Then came a strategic move by the matchmakers. They paired him with Alex Pereira, a fast-rising Brazilian star. It was a plan to set him up for failure, especially with the Nigerian king, Israel Adesanya, waiting in the wings. But Sean never backed down from a fight, even when his opponent was feared by everyone who knew the game.
How do you fast-track the guy? Well, you put him in there with Shale, that many of you believe is the rightful #1 contender anyway, Strickland.
I've trained with plenty of good kickboxers. I think I can handle it. You know, and after me and him have a war and I, beat Alex, you're going to see I'm a whole different guy.
Oh! That's what I'm talking about. That's why.
You cannot stand in front of that man.
Despite his unpredictable nature, Strickland handled the loss with grace, showing a side far different from his usual loud and brash persona. For Pereira, the victory aged well. He made Strickland look like a rookie with that sharp left hand. But the story didn't end there. Strickland would go on to achieve the same glory as Pereira, eventually lifting the middleweight title himself. Pereira's wisdom and experience played a big part in securing his victory, cementing his place in the sport. But as the dust settled, something unexpected happened. The two fighters, Pereira and Strickland, formed an unlikely friendship. Despite the language barrier, they bonded through their time in the training room.
Hi, my friend. How are you?
Man, where am I, bro? Where am I? Yeah, let's fight again. Don't knock me out this time. You can still knock me out.
The legacy of the last style bender. When it comes to fighting legacy, there's not much left to say about Israel, the last style bender Adesanya. Though his career may be winding down as time catches up with him, few will forget his place as one of the UFC's greatest middleweights. But even more memorable is his legendary rivalry with Pereira, a rivalry that will be forever remembered by just one fateful sentence.
And then there's this ultimate bad guy who was just in some fucking bar in Brazil, and then Izzy had to open his mouth.
He's gonna be at some pub, talking some shit about, I beat that guy one time, trying to get a dick sucked from a crack whore or some shit.
A rivalry forged in kickboxing. The hatred between Adesanya and Pereira was born in the kickboxing ring. Even after Adesanya moved to mixed martial arts and found glory, he was still haunted by his losses to Pereira. Those fateful words sparked a fire in the Brazilian, pushing him to take his first steps into the UFC, determined to settle the score.
DC, wait until you see this Pereira in real life. And I'm like, okay, he's good, DC. He might be the best kickboxer that we've ever had. Oh, and then he does that, and I look over and I go, oh my God, you were telling the truth.
A feud cultivated by the UFC, Dana White and Hunter Campbell carefully crafted the narrative of this rivalry. Many saw Pereira's quick rise to a title shot as orchestrated and undeserved. The UFC, a company that often favors drama and stories over pure fighting principles, knew the rivalry would sell. At UFC 281, Adesanya and Pereira would finally meet inside the Octagon, leaving behind their battles in the kickboxing ring. The final showdown. Pereira's piercing gaze said it all. He was confident, treating this fight like business as usual. Adesanya, on the other hand, wasn't his usual calm and composed self. For Pereira, victory felt like a formality. But for Adesanya, his entire legacy hung in the balance, defined by the outcome of this battle.
All right, here we go, round one for the undisputed UFC middleweight championship.
Pereira there's so much danger when he gets close to you. Look at this.
So it is Adesanya who ends up on top. Now axe kick to the body.
A lot of the action's taking place in a very short space. The big Octagon seems to be favoring Adesanya right now.
20 down, 5 to go.
Não, com certeza eu achei que eu tava perdendo.
It seems like we're looking at 3-1 pretty comfortably for the champion.
Vou falar uma coisa com você.
Tem 5 minutos pra você ser campeão mundial, Patão. Adesanya 5 minutes away from remaining the UFC standard at 185 pounds. 5th and final round. Here's that left hook.
Big shots from Pereira. Big shots.
Adesanya's on one leg. 2 more. That'll do it.
He did it.
Todd has done it.
He did it again.
Alex Pereira, the undisputed middleweight champion.
So yeah, I put it on the line, and this is what happens. Again, I dare to be great, and I am.
Facing his demons. In trying to conquer his demons on the grand stage, Adesanya was instead consumed by them. In the fight's final moments, he lost his belt, falling victim once again to Pereira's deadly left hand. This defeat became part of middleweight history, but it wasn't the end of their story. They say history is written by the victors, but this time, Adesanya would get the last laugh. In their rematch, the roles were reversed. Now it was Pereira who carried the heavy burden of the champion. Adesanya, with nothing to lose, became the hunter. And in this game, the man with nothing to lose is the most dangerous of all.
Oh! Counter right from Adesanya. Pereira down and out. Order restored. Adesanya has finally done it.
He got him back.
Israel Adesanya.
Rivals turned respect. Adesanya became the only man to defeat Pereira inside the UFC's walls. The end of their rivalry left no bitterness, only mutual respect earned through their intense battles. Perhaps in another time or another timeline, they might have been known as allies instead of rivals.
Bro, that samurai spirit, bro, it's not a facade.
Yuri only has bad intentions. There's heat on everything.
Side has Yuri Prohaska.
The unbreakable mind of Jiri Prochazka. Unlike Alex's previous opponents, Jiri Prochazka had a stoic mind that was not easily broken. He was fully dedicated to the warrior's code, with his fighting career taking center stage. A true gladiator, he seemed like a character from ancient legends brought into the modern era with one goal, to become a UFC champion. His skill set, though imperfect, was entertaining and would ultimately lead him to achieve that dream.
It's there! He's got it!
The Czech Republic has got one. Yuri Prohaska.
A battle forged in war. The victory was defined by the legendary battle that preceded it. The loser that night would shape Pereira's next steps. His mentor, Glover Teixeira, battered and bruised, had his belt taken from him at UFC 275. At that time, Alex Pereira was still relatively unknown in the MMA world, but he had Jiri Prochazka marked for revenge. By the time they faced off 20 events later for the vacant light heavyweight title, Glover sat in the corner not as a fighter, but as a coach, sharing his wisdom with the man known for his powerful fists. This was a fight that couldn't be won with mind games alone. Alex's fierce tribal gaze might intimidate lesser men, but the Czech samurai remained unfazed. The only way to victory would be through sheer determination and relentless effort.
Look at this stare down.
Intensity.
Whoa.
Two stoic, intense athletes.
For my money, this is the best stare down in the history of the sport. There's no two men like these two guys staring at each other, looking into each other's souls.
Yuri Prohaska in the red or Alex Pereira in the yellow. Early takedown for Prohaska.
This is not where Pereira wants to be. Anything they teach you. Oh, look at that.
Oh, nice job by Yuri.
It's a big right hand. Oh! The counter from Pereira. That is going to do it. Pereira, welcome to the history books.
The rise of Alex Pereira. Bo Nickal's wild fighting style had finished almost every opponent before Alex Pereira, but the man with hands of stone stood tall and defeated the samurai in an honorable duel, claiming the title of a two-weight champion. With that victory, Pereira set his sights on a new target, one who had far less honor and respect for the art of fighting. In the midst of Prochazka's rise and eventual loss, a series of challenges and intertwined fates left the light heavyweight title vacant. This time it wouldn't be Prochazka fighting for it, but once again, his mentor and coach. In his way stood an unassuming man, a Contender Series alumnus who quietly forged his path to the top with little fanfare. But the weapons of Jamal Hill were not to be underestimated, as those who faced him would soon learn.
Under 3 minutes to go, round 3. Jamal Hill trying to wrap up a world title. Teixeira's on the ropes. Record-breaking performance for Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill.
A somber return. The Brazilian, bloodied and bruised, retired to a nearly empty arena. A truly sad sight. MMA is a young man's sport, and Glover Teixeira was most certainly past his prime. Yet, it was a victory for Jamal Hill. And just like Jiri Prochazka before him, he found himself facing a double-edged sword. Now Pereira had him in his crosshairs.
I think there's something to him kind of being a pupil of Glover. I've seen that video, the picture where, you know, you and Glover in the Octagon in Brazil, and he's kind of standing in the background. You can tell he looks real upset.
You know, I have been talking. You know, I'm going to talk. I'm going to make sure this fight. I'm going to make sure they know this is a fight that you don't want to miss.
The clash at UFC 300. When they finally clashed in the main event of UFC 300, the belt had changed hands, leaving Pereira as the ruler of the division. For both men, the goal remained the same: to sell the biggest card in the last 10 years and come out on top. Jamal Hill was willing to go to great lengths for the theatrics, driven by his inner belief. While few could doubt his confidence, it was that very confidence that might lead to his downfall. Oh, you're going to knock him out!
Oh, you're gonna knock him out?
Yeah, bro. I have to put a severe ass whooping on him just for the simple fact of the disrespect of how y'all are coming at me. I'm making a very assertive point. Mark my words when I say this. I do not plan on taking him down. I do not plan on wrestling him. I plan on going in there. I will knock him out.
This is getting acquainted with the visual that I plan on seeing on Saturday night.
Eu vou fazer ele lembrar desse momento aqui, quando eu estiver entrando no Octagon, quando estiver tocando a minha música, ele vai lembrar desse momento.
Well, UFC 400 might be in 2032, so let us enjoy this main event at UFC 300.
We'll be here, baby.
All right, here we go. That's Jamal Hill, challenger in the black, multicolored trunks for the incumbent, the champ, Alex Pereira.
Stop. Continue.
Please, get out of here.
Oh! He just dropped Jamal Hill!
Redemption and stardom. For Pereira, it was redemption for his fallen brother, catapulting him into superstardom with a clear and fair victory. However, Jamal Hill's struggle to accept that result would weigh heavily on him. It's somewhat understandable. Reaching the pinnacle of sports requires a deep belief that can border on delusion. Whether you win or lose, that belief must never waver in this game.
Took no damage. Most of the fall was me falling down. And I remember everything. I remember looking up, seeing his legs. I remember him coming in. He's able to land some shots and kind of throw my equilibrium off on the other side, but I was coherent the whole time.
The weight of time. Despite all the talk, the dust had settled long ago. Pereira was the king, while Hill was once more a contender. MMA is not a game for aging men or women, and even with his clear dominance, the effects of time were beginning to take hold on Pereira. At 37, he was at the age where many fighters start to decline, as speed and reaction time gradually fade. Though not apparent yet, Alex was aware of its inevitability and quickly sought another victim to enhance his legacy. UFC 303 was set to feature the only man with more star power, the notorious Conor McGregor. But, as has become all too common with the Irishman, a last-minute change of plans threatened to throw the event into jeopardy.
But we do know what the replacement is. And as far as replacements go, it's a pretty good one.
The new main event is Alex Pereira, and he is facing former UFC light heavyweight champion Jiri Prochazka.
Facing the wild man. Preparing for a fight is always a tough task, but facing the unpredictable Jiri Prochazka was a whole different challenge. Pereira had defeated him just 8 events ago, but the Czech fighter's wild nature meant any outcome was possible. Instead of spending countless hours on the mat or studying tape, Pereira decided to roll off the couch and compete on the UFC's grand stage, relying on his instincts to see him through the fight.
This time,
We're not gonna get no Airbnb. We're not gonna get no big house. We're not gonna bring a whole entourage. It's gonna be me, you, Glover, the corners, and the boys. We're gonna sit on the fighters' hotel. We're gonna go over there like we're gonna fight on the undercard. We're gonna win this fight, go back home. You have enough time to look at the blueprint of the bank, check the cameras, and plan a bank robbery. But sometimes you just give your friends a gun, tell them to hop on the car, and let's just go rob a bank together.
The mindset for victory. To find victory, Pereira needed not just the right mindset, but also something much more sinister. His tribal attire was not merely for show or to instill fear in his opponent. In the eyes of Prochaska, it represented something deeper and more supernatural.
Everybody knows he's working with some shamanics, with some shamans.
Bro, his spirit. You know what Jerry said about the whole juju thing? Like that's real. That's real.
He's doing these rituals before the fight. He's everybody can feel that what's around him and what's going on. So, and I think Alex can't fight without that.
Channeling tribal energy. By donning the paints and patterns of the indigenous Pexo tribe from which he traces his ancestry, Alex channeled that energy into every fight, aiming for a dominant victory. Just as he had done at UFC 295, this time at the T-Mobile Arena, Pereira would add another feather to his cap.
One message for him, I know he talk a lot about spirituality, just so he knows, you know what I mean, the same God that blesses us is the one that protects us, and I pray a lot for him and for me to be well after this fight.
The harsh reality of MMA. For many in this sport, a harsh dose of reality fuels the drive and work ethic needed to become an MMA fighter, and Jamal Hill's story is no different.
I didn't have the courage to really face certain challenges because I didn't have anyone that stood there to let me know that everything would be okay. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I was drinking alcohol nonstop. I was taking random prescription pills, just trying to numb all of my pain. I remember stepping on a scale and it said 305 pounds. And that was when I started to think about, okay, what can I do to hold on to my life? And that's what drove me to start things that involved fitness and health.
Transformation. Through MMA became the guiding force that transformed a man who once weighed over 300 pounds into a fighting machine, ultimately leading him to the UFC's esteemed banner. The struggles from Hill's early life that prompted his shift into the sport also motivated him to become a greater warrior. By adopting a Muay Thai base, which had helped so many champions reach the top, Hill underwent a necessary transformation to evolve from a good fighter into a great one.
The transformation that guy's made as a fighter from when he went to Thailand, he's a beast, man. When I was watching him throw those kicks, I was like, who's this guy?
He was brutal.
How did you turn into this guy?
Woo!
And come on.
Rising through the ranks. With 5 straight wins, Jamal Hill entered the upper ranks of the light heavyweight division and, through fate and circumstance, found himself challenging Alex Pereira for the throne. Not many expected Roundtree to be in this position as the number 8 ranked contender, especially with a resume that paled in comparison to his peers. Most viewed him as a simple stepping stone for Pereira, just a statistic to add to his record. Yet, Salt Lake City, Utah, had a unique energy that could spark historic moments.
The main reason that I've always wanted this fight, really, is for the fans. You got 2 of the best strikers in the world going at it, and that's what I want to give the fans. It's MMA, anything can happen. But what I'm trying to make sure that everybody knows is that when I step in there, you get to expect the best version of me. And the best version of me is not someone who switches my plan and then out of nowhere in my career decides to become a wrestler.
The reality of the fight game. With every chapter of his inspirational journey, UFC 307 served as a brutal reminder that the fight game doesn't discriminate. Often it's the bad guy, the heel character who triumphs over the hero in their home crowd. While Alex may not fit that role entirely, the brutality of his finish certainly reflected that reality.
Will indeed do it. Bravo. Alex Pereira reigns supreme.
Jamal Hill was seen yawning after the fight. Looks like he's implying that the fight was boring. I'm just curious if you can respond to that.
Yeah, maybe he just woke up from UFC 300.
Jamal Hill, a honorable exit. Jamal Hill became the latest victim on this list, another recipient of Pereira's powerful punches. However, he bowed out with honor, becoming one of the few fighters to breach Alex's seemingly impenetrable defenses, earning respect from both his opponent and the doubters along the way. For Alex, this victory added another title to his collection, and now he set his sights on yet another challenger.